following announcement has been paid for by the
Wealth Management Advisory Club. Hey everybody, it's the president of the Wealth Management Advisory Club, Jack Mitch here. Welcome back to another exciting WMA Club meeting. Before we start off this awesome you guys are about to watch today, a couple announcements on our end. As always, first of all, I do apologize if I do sound a little groggy. It is allergy season for me, so, boo me. So just want to mention that first, disclaimer. We have 3 announcements, and then, we will send you guys off to the meeting. So the first one is actually, first and the second one, we have officially now made a new intro for not only our bonus meetings, but we've made a new intro for our Spring Break Workshop Spectacular. And I'm about to show you guys them both right here and right now. So in 3, 2, 1. So, yeah, that is the new intros for our Spring Break Workshop Spectacular. The first one you just saw. The second one is our brand new bonus meetings intro. Yes, I will mention the songs that were used. Turn Up by Antidote for the bonus meetings, and for our Spring Break Workshop Spectacular, Omerta by Debris and Our Psychic. Thank you to NCS for allowing us to use their music for our intros, and you will see them in the outros as well, because we will have new outro cards we will have made. So again, stay tuned for that. I'm not going to reveal what those look like. You guys are going to find out on your own. So those are the first, second announcement, and now it is time to feature our sponsor. Yes, we will always do this every single meeting until we run out of sponsors, I guess. All right, so today's sponsor is actually one of our brand new sponsors we just brought in the WMA Club. I know I said that in the last meeting, but we actually brought them on the same time as this sponsor. So this meeting is sponsored by good friends over at Restream.io, the only streaming platform you need to reach all your viewers. With Restream, you can easily stream to multiple platforms at the same time from the same source. No more jumping from platform to platform to reach everyone. Now all your viewers can watch your content at the same time, no matter what platform they're on. Restream makes it easy for you to broadcast your content to the entire world. With just a simple setup, you can stream to YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Rumble, Getter, TikTok. Like, the possibilities are endless. Even Twitter, without even using this. It's just crazy. You can even customize your stream with brand logos and overlays. Plus, Restream gives you detailed analytics for each platform so you can track your growth and reach. So why wait? Get started today and use Restream and reach all your viewers with one platform. So, if you click the link down in our link tree, go to our website, go to our sponsors page, click the link there, you'll be able to sign up for a free Restream account. That's right, a free account. No annual fee if you sign up for free. I know there are some other options on there, but if you guys want to do it for free, no problem. And we have used this here for the WMA Club. We actually used it for our bonus meeting on Tuesday. It went absolutely amazing. And we are so happy with the performance Restream has done. There was no lag on our Instagram feed, none of that. So we're very, very happy that there's no errors on that. So thanks to me, WMA Club, and Restream for giving you guys this deal. Again, I'd like to thank Restream for being today's sponsors for today's meeting. So, if you guys are ready, I know I am most certainly ready. Let's get you guys off to the meeting.
And now, our feature presentation.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Wealth Management Advisory Club meeting. Again, we do apologize. Meetings at 3 p.m. today. Everyone does not know there's a PP event at 4 p.m. today. So again, we highly advise you after this meeting, go to that event at 4 p.m. virtually via Zoom. But today we have EP Wealth's Erin Voisin coming to speak to us today. I'm just going to read a little bit about her, and then we're going to let her take it from there. So Erin is a director of financial planning at EP Wealth Advisors. She has more than 11 years of experience in the financial services industry. She is currently the committee chair of the EP Wealth's Financial Literacy Outreach and co-developer of the EP Wealth and Externship Program. This program invites high school students to visit EP Wealth to shadow, learn corporate etiquette, and gain resume and communication skills. Erin is also a WIN advocate, volunteer with the CFP Board Center for Financial Planning to educate women and girls about financial planning careers. She also has been featured in CNBC, US News and World Report, Yahoo Finance, Mag, InvestmentNews, and so much more. She earned her bachelor's degree of science from the University of San Diego, majoring in business administration and psychology. And she also holds a master's degree in accounting, which, funny enough, I'm actually an accounting major myself. So planning actually going to the 4+1 program here at FD Silverman for accounting. So it's kind of awesome for me just to hear that. So yes, guys, let's please ask a lot of questions. Let's really make this an exciting meeting. And with that, Erin, I'm going to let you take it away from there.
Perfect. Well, hello, everyone, and thanks for having me today. I'm excited to be chatting with all of you. I prepared just a brief presentation, really just to talk through some of the, discussion points that you all gave me to discuss as part of what, about me, the industry, the CFP, etc. So let me share here real quick. I'll pull it up. Hopefully everyone can see that okay.
We can see that all right.
Perfect. So I'm going to kind of start with my career journey first because one, it started in college. And I think that's really important to talk about today because once upon a time, I was in your seat. I was not in a wealth management program. I love to tell this story. I went to school in San Diego, like we just talked about, and I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Chicago. And my dad had told me that if I wanted to stay in San Diego after I graduated, that I had to graduate with a full-time job. And the only way I knew how to do that was to go out and intern. So I spent the summer applying in my junior year, every internship I could find. And one of the first interview I did was with MetLife and their case design unit. I went and did the interview. I thought this sounds cool. I like people, I like numbers, but again, my focus was on staying in California. So I wasn't really thinking about it in terms of like my forever career. It was more just what can I do to try to get me here? So they called me the next day and actually offered me the internship. And I said, what the heck, why not? Let's do it. So I stayed with MetLife. I interned my junior year and my senior year. My senior year, they offered me a full-time job. So got my wish. I got to stay in California, but I also found something that I really love doing. And I think, my senior year, I tell a lot of people was sort of a cakewalk because I found my profession. I had a job lined up. I knew what I wanted to do. So I actually found myself like working as much as possible just because I was so excited about what I was doing. I stayed with MetLife for the next 5 years, but part of that journey took me up from San Diego to LA. So I was asked by my managing director to essentially come with him up to LA and build out a case design unit for the 5 LA offices. So my roommate in college at the time happened to be from LA. She was back up there. So I already had a roommate situation, decided to do it and made the move. And part of what I'll talk about today is really the shift in the industry and working for a broker dealer versus an RIA. And the reason I basically left MetLife was, I was working on financial plans. And what happened was my compensation started to be based on the product sales that were from my financial plan. And I just couldn't deal with that. I was like, if I'd recommend a 529 plan, the advisor would go out and sell a variable universal life and say it does the same thing. So I wasn't really looking, but an RIA happened to be hiring. The recruiter had reached out. So I went and joined an RIA after that over here in Century City. And that's when I immediately knew I found my home. I really liked the RIA model. I loved that I could just be planning and not have to be thinking about a product sale that was coming from it, an annuity, a life insurance, you name it. It was really just getting to do what is best for clients. So I was at that firm for about 2 years. Great firm. They are just, investments are what they lead with, and I'm a planner. So I happened to get recruited to where I'm at now at EP Wealth 7 years ago. And, they brought me on to basically help build out planning. So when I started with EP, there were 3 people in my department, myself and 2 others. My team today sits at 55. So over the last 7 years, I've grown from 3 to 55 team members. With that is my financial planning team. I oversee our tax department, our estate planning department, and our retirement plan services department. So there's really a lot of team members built into that 55, but the largest team is my planning team, because that is what I started at EP doing, was building out financial planning. It was my 3rd year at EP when they made me a partner. So I always love to tell the story of becoming, going from an intern 17 years ago to a partner now at EP. And it's been a really fun journey. I've learned a lot along the way. And as I go through some of my slides, I'll kind of talk through, why I feel like the RIA model is where, one, the industry is going, but also like where I would tell you is like, giving advice, where I would, totally recommend you spend your time if you're going to interview. So, there's the different models out there now. At one point, it was sort of a barbell. You have broker-dealer and you had RIA, and there really was no in between. Now we have these hybrid models where you're seeing people who are tied to LPL or Edward Jones, but they're considered hybrid. They're saying that they are trying to be like an RIA. I mean, really the difference when you look under the hood is, can they sell products or not? So can they sell products? Lose you all? Oh. Can you hear me still?
Yes, we can still hear you.
Okay, my Zoom just shut down on the screen, so I'll just keep talking. And so I always say, it's like, can they sell products or not? If they can, then, that's what I would say is more of the broker-dealer model. And there's nothing wrong with either. Again, you could argue, some people say the broker-dealer model is broken because it's what we call the suitable model versus the fiduciary standard. And so when I brought up that 529 versus VUL example, it was, okay, in this situation, they could sell that variable universal life without any problems. Again, it was suitable for the client. It was a suitable solution for saving for college. From a fiduciary standpoint, a 529, we know, is going to be the best option. So that's really what I always think is the difference, is, can you truly act in the best interest of a client, or are you going to be driven by something else? So, we are fee only. I always say, at the RIA side, we sit on the same side of the table as our clients. If they make money, we make money, and that's it. In a year like last year where we lost money because the market was down, that affected us. And I think clients really appreciate that, because they know that we're not in it for anything else but to do what's best for them. And that's really, from a planning standpoint, I think what has resonated the most with me in terms of the models is really just getting, to recommend what I would recommend for my own parents. State of the industry. I know this was something that we wanted to talk about. First and foremost, there's a talent shortage. So, I highly recommend, take advantage of it. You guys are in a fantastic position. I have like 9 positions open in planning right now alone that we just cannot seem to find enough because of our, the expansion of this industry and just what clients want. Clients want a better experience, a faster experience. There's a ton of wealth transfer going on. It's actually been pretty interesting to see the evolution of our client base over the last several years, from it not just being baby boomers anymore, and really seeing a lot of wealth, come from a younger group. Market volatility. We have experienced a lot of that last year and even into this year. And that was, for the years we've had preceding it, it was a big deal. We've had clients who've been riding the high of the market and then all of a sudden, watch their account slashed by 30%, reminiscent of probably what people went through in 2008. So it was a challenging year, but what's actually really interesting is how much we grew as a firm in that time, because those times are when people really look to their advisor. And if your advisor is not reaching out, if your advisor is not calling you and doing that financial plan, those are the people that are making the move. So that's another reason there's a lot of wealth transfer going on. And that's just between firms, because it's really at a time when people want to be hearing from their firm and their advisor. High inflation. Again, just things that haven't been a topic for us for the last several years. So we're revisiting a lot of old financial plans, really having to look, and factor in the state of today. And what we always tell clients is today is not indicative of the future, but we still want to make sure clients have peace of mind. Is my plan okay? Given that the market has dropped, given inflation, am I still going to be okay? So we are doing more planning than ever before because we really want to make sure we can help answer that. And then fee compression and addition of services kind of go hand in hand. So you probably, if you're following the market or even the industry, there's a lot of talk about fee compression, bringing fees down because of, essentially our clients getting their money's worth. And so a lot of firms are either having to bring their fees down or add services for that fee to basically make up for it. So I bring that up because that's what our firm did. So about 3 years ago, when I was asked to take on tax and estate, it was because our firm decided that we really wanted to be a national RIA. We wanted to be able to do everything we could for clients under one roof. So that's when we added tax preparation and estate document drafting to our offering. And clients have absolutely loved it. Just being able to have everything under one roof, not have to worry about, communicating things to their CPA or whatnot. So that's really the path we have chosen. And I think that you're going to start to see the industry shape up is more consolidation as well. So we are what's called an aggregator within the industry. So we are actively out there acquiring small RIAs or even retiring advisors who are looking for a forever home for their clients. But that is what's really helped us expand from California all the way to the East Coast now. And a lot of that is due to the addition of services. So you're going to start to see some sort of prominent names in the industry because of those services. And you're going to start to see the smaller firms struggle to keep up because if you're both offering 1%, but for 1%, you get a financial plan, a tax return, your estate documents, an investment allocation, all the good stuff. But here, all I can really offer you is investments and a plan. Clients, may come here. This is really where the relationship part comes in, but that's really where the industry is going. We're going to start to see, the aggregators continue to, pick up pace there, and probably the addition of services increase much more. So I'll transition to pursuing the CFP. I know what's so great now is that there's programs undergrad to get the courses. I had to graduate and then go take all the courses again and then sit for the exam. So I love that there's programs now where, students can do this as an undergrad, graduate and take the exam right away. And I will tell you first and foremost, get the designation. For me and my department, it's a requirement. If you're going to work for me, you're going to have your CFP. Our advisors is very similar. That is the gold standard for us, is the CFP is absolutely crucial. And there's tons of programs out there. And I always again, as a huge team of planners I actually just had a team member pass the CFP yesterday, which was really exciting. But it's what type of learner are you? So when I first took the CFP, I thought I could self-study. I was like, oh, just give me the books, I'll read through it and I'll take the test. And I quickly learned that wasn't right for me. I really needed to be taught. I really needed to attend a class and actually, have someone speak to me. So I always say, find what works for you because not every program is going to be the best for you. So figure out what type of learner you are and then find the program that adapts to that. And then find a study group. So something we do internally at EP is leading up to every exam cycle, we figure out who is taking the exam and then form a cohort. So that way we can do training, check-ins, put study plans together, accountability partners. And we have found that model really works. So Jen, who's my director of planning, and Scott, who is one of our planning managers, they really lead that. And I think that's why we've had so much success with team members is because they have people to lean on. And it's a tough time. I always say, talk with your friends and family. You're shutting your life down for 3 months. And I think that's a big deal. And friends and family need to understand the commitment you're making for your future. And you need to understand that, especially, I think I joked about this one of the exam cycles. The CFP exam does not fall in any great time. You have the July exam. It's the middle of summer. Who wants to be studying for an exam? You have November. Well, you're either working at a firm that's dealing with quarter end or you're in the holiday season. And then you have March, where, okay, if you're in school, there's like a lot of things going on. For us, it's tax season. So there's never a right time to take the test, but making sure that you really think about what your life is going to look like the 3 months preceding is really important, and give it the time and attention it deserves. And I say this because I was a 2-time test taker. The first time I took this test, I was already in the industry. I was already doing financial planning. So I thought this will be a breeze. Like, I'm already doing this. What do I really have to learn? So I would sit in class when I was taking the exam with like my work computer, like working alongside, because I just did not care. And quickly learned after I failed that I did not give that test the time and attention it deserved. And let me tell you, you don't want to take that exam twice. The second time, I did everything I was told to do. I followed the study plan to a T, and it was successful. So I really encourage everyone, give it the attention. Tell your friends and family that it's going to be tough. Plan a date night, plan a day off, make it worthwhile, but know that for a good 12 weeks, your life is going to be eat, sleep, and breathing the CFP exam. But it's so worth it once you pass, and to not feel, like you have to do that all over again. And as a 2-time test taker, I tell everyone my story because I'm always like, do as I didn't, basically. My career advice, again, intern. Because I started as an intern, it is so, so important to me to talk about that. We're currently, and I can talk about this at the end, but we're currently pursuing, interns right now. I love having interns because I was in that place at one point in time. I love thinking that I could be shaping someone's career and helping give them that jump start that I got 17 years ago. And so many firms are looking for interns because, again, there's a talent shortage right now. So if we can go out and find programs like you are all in, where there's wealth management students just like hungry to get in the profession and get in the industry, like there's so many doors that could open to you at that point. And as I say, as you go through that internship or as you go through your program, define what you love about wealth management. So I loved planning. I hate investments. So you will not find me talking to our portfolio management team that often. That's what they do. They handle the investment part. I could care less about alpha, beta, stocks, bonds. Like, that is their job. I love talking about cash flow and taxes and estate planning and retirement. So that's really what gravitated me towards the planning side of it. I also love talking to people. I'm a people person. So I wanted to be client facing. What's unique about our department is that we are a client facing financial planning team. So we're not back office paraplanners. We sit right next to the advisor, helping present, helping do the implementation. We just don't have business development goals. Conferences and networking groups. So many conferences are now offering scholarships to let students come in and participate. And then there's tons of networking. FPA has the next gen, NAPFA has the next gen. Like, all these programs are designed to start trying to bring, people in college through the financial services industry. So leverage those, because that's a great opportunity to meet people who might know someone who's, has a role open, needs an intern, or could just be a good mentor. I think having a solid mentor through this program is also, really critical. And then get active with the CFP board and NAPFA. So NAPFA is for fee-only advisors. So again, that's really going to push you towards meeting people who are in that RIA space. But then the CFP board, they have a career fair, they have their diversity summit. There's a lot of things that you could do within the CFP board, again, as a way to help network and learn more about the industry. But if you really want to know the industry, interning is going to be your best bet. And whether it's at an RIA or it's at the broker-dealer model, you're still going to learn a lot. So I always look back at my time at MetLife with so much appreciation, because it really taught me so much about the industry. And I don't think I'd be where I was today without kind of going through those 7 years of seeing that side of things. So that's what I wanted to cover. And I'm totally open now to answer questions and talk about anything that is top of mind for all of you.
Does anyone have any questions anyone in this room right now? Anyone on Zoom before I ask the first question? If you guys on Zoom don't feel comfortable asking your question, you guys can type in the chat if you feel like it, but we would love to appreciate you just, asked. But if no one is asking, I will ask the first question. I think you might have answered my question. I was about to ask it, but I'm an accounting major. I'm not really planning on going to finance, but obviously I have heard from a couple of people that, maybe the before we get to that, does your firm have any accounting jobs or internships? That's not my question. Someone from the chat said that. So
no, we do obviously have a full-fledged accounting team, and we also have internships that we are putting out. And again, we are coast to coast. So if you basically went on our website and looked at any of our offices, I always know people go to school one place and they might live somewhere else. Really, any of our offices right now are going to be opening to interning. So if you want to reach out to me directly, if you're interested, I will, I'm essentially help run the intern program with two of my coworkers. So happy to kind of put you in touch with all the right people.
We should all be doing that. If anyone's interested, please feel free to reach out to her. But getting back to my question, do you, I've heard from other people that, to get the CFP is, essential to go in the wealth management field. I know you probably have answered it already in the presentation, but in your opinion, do you feel like it's important to have the CFP, not only the CFP, but also the CFA exam under your belt, or just the CFP? Because I've asked this question, multiple speakers have came in here and others have said, oh, CFP exams, CFA, both. But I want to get your take on that, obviously.
So I really say that depends if you want to be investment focused. So the CFA is, it's really for investments. So if you're going to be an advisor and you want to be involved in investment making decisions and building portfolios and researching stocks, then the CFA would be really helpful. I've just found that more often than not, especially thinking of the outsource, the way people do their investments, the CFA becomes really niche-y. With our portfolio management team, those are the people that have the CFA because they sit behind the scenes. They don't talk to clients. All they do is sit behind computers and do what they do best and research and build our portfolios. Versus the CFP, you are going to be client facing. I mean, that's just really where, you're going to do the planning. You touch investments. You kind of get the best of all of it. So I don't think it's crucial to have both. I will tell you, in my last 17 years of doing this, I've never once thought about the CFA, but that's also because I'm just not passionate about investments. But we have advisors, who have gone and done both, but that's because once upon a time, they were helping build portfolios. So I think it's kind of where you see your path going.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else? Because I have a ton of questions that our members, unfortunately, could not make it today. They asked me they actually gave me a list of questions to ask you. So before I run off that list, does anybody else on Zoom want to ask a question? Anyone in person want to ask a question before I just run these off? Okay. All right. So I guess I'm going to run them off. These were compiled by some of our members who could not make it because some of them are student athletes, others have classes that they could not get into. So one of these questions that they asked, wanted to ask you was, what are some common mistakes people make when managing their wealth and how can they avoid them?
So I think something that's common is just the bias you have towards your own finances. And a lot of, I will say personally, I run my financial decisions by one of my advisors. So when you're looking at it yourself, your natural biases are going to come in. I don't spend that much, or I don't that's a one-off thing. So a lot of times it's just not checking themselves at the door and getting the help and that third party to really come in and help, sort of regulate that bias. The biggest thing is not having a plan. I mean, I can't tell you how many clients I sit in front of in their 50s and 60s who say, I wish I would have done this 20 years ago. I wish I would have done this 30 years ago. I mean, the toughest conversations I have are when I'm talking to someone in their 60s who are staring at me, telling me their number one goal is to retire. And I'm telling them they can't because they didn't plan. They didn't save. They didn't, they bought too big of a house, whatever the thing was. So I think just not having a plan in place and then not saving early enough. part of what we mentioned at the beginning, I help oversee our financial literacy initiative. And it's one of the biggest things I tell students when we go into schools is start saving now, and like the impact of that, because the longer you wait, the harder it is. And I think that's a huge mistake people make is, unfortunately, we live in a world right now that really, in a great way, promotes, work-life balance. But, at one point it was sort of like, YOLO, you only live once. Then it was like FOMO, fear of missing out. So people started to like focus on the today, like, oh, I need to go to that, bachelor and bachelorette parties started to become destination. Everyone wants to go to brunch on Sundays. Like life just became more expensive and people sort of started focusing on that and saving less. So I always tell people, pay your bills, save, and then spend whatever's left.
That's great to hear that. Even about, saving up your money, and that kind of actually bounces off the next question that our members asked was, what are some effective strategies for building wealth over the long term?
Yeah, I mean, obviously long-term rates, for investments are great. So as soon as you can start to save in that, depending on tax brackets, your Roth IRA first and foremost, any employer retirement plan they give you, even just setting up a brokerage account and starting to invest and dabble, letting that money really ride for the long term is, a very easy way to start building wealth. We have clients who firmly believe that real estate is the way to do that. That, I'm going to go buy a bunch of properties and because it's a tangible asset that I can see that's giving me a set income stream. We've seen a lot of clients have success with that. I think there's a good blend. I would not say go put all your money in real estate. And I have clients who would never put all their money in the stock market. But the key to that is just investing, not keeping it in cash and letting it work for you.
That's great to hear that. Because we do have a club here at FD Silverman, which is our student managed investment fund club. We are investing $100,000 in the stock market, and we were thinking about investing in some REITs, but now taking your advice, obviously, I think right now we're probably not going to do that, but it's always interesting to hear about REITs in a way. And I know that in the next couple of weeks, I know tax, we're going to get closer to tax day. But how does tax considerations factor into like wealth management decisions, and what strategies can, someone use to minimize their tax burden?
So, taxes are crucial to planning. I mean, I tell this all the time to my team, to clients. Taxes touch every single part of your financial plan. I mean, I could argue down to like your property casualty insurance. I mean, there's an argument to be made. So, tax planning is really what we focus on as a firm. We're a very tax heavy firm, and that's essentially why we offer tax prep. And so there's, again, depending on your tax bracket is what we always want to look at. Is it high or is it low? So if it's high, okay, let's look at all the possible solutions you have to minimize, all the pre-tax benefits you might have through your employer. Can we do any tax loss harvesting in your investment accounts, given, what we've gone through right now with the market volatility? If you have real estate, can we look at cost segregation? Can we look at, are there capital expenses to help drive, there's just things we can do depending on your situation. If you're a business owner, like there's a lot of potential opportunities there. And then if you're in a low tax bracket, I think a flaw that people think about is I want to be in the lowest tax bracket possible. But we actually tell clients we would never want someone paying 12% tax, because at some point you're probably going to pay 20 or 30%. So we love to take advantage of low tax years. If you're in a low tax year, we're going to start those Roth conversions. We're going to draw money out of those IRAs if you're eligible, because we want to really always smooth income taxes. And so by doing planning, you can be forward looking. Okay, given when I know you're going to retire, your assets, the type of assets you have, you can forecast. I mean, we use eMoney. It forecasts tax brackets going forward. So we can really be strategic each year with what we do from a tax standpoint. So we actually run tax projections for our clients. So now when you mention it's tax season, they know what they're going to pay. They know what to expect because we've done all the planning. I always tell, I never want 12/31 to come up and have someone miss an opportunity. So we spend November and December with our clients actually generating essentially mock 1040s and really trying to figure out what can we do from a tax standpoint for that client. increasing charitable contributions, maybe leveraging debt. It really depends.
So another thing they also wanted me to ask was, what are some, I know you probably talked about some like the current events that are happening in wealth management. Can you explain maybe like in your own like opinion, like what are some emerging trends right now in wealth management and how they might impact the way people manage money?
Yeah, I mean, I think, what's something that's sort of been out there for a while are these robo-advisors, or, the Wealthfronts, the Betterments. We used to joke as our team, like, are we going to be out of a job at some point? And it just doesn't take away the people aspect, wanting to talk with someone about what's going on. So I think there's a good, the robos are there to do what they need to do for the people that think they can manage money themselves and don't really need everything. But what we keep finding is that it's not about investments as much anymore. It's about planning. People really want a plan, and it's becoming a planning first, investment second type industry, which is great. So that's something we're seeing a lot. And then it really goes back to the addition of services, clients really wanting to keep everything under one roof. You, advisor, are my key relationship person. My goals, my outlook, my legacy, my family probably at this point. My tax situation. So can't you prep your taxes? Can't you just draft my documents? Can't you be the trustee when we pass? So I think really what's going to continue to emerge is these RIAs, and even broker dealers having to offer more for fees. Clients want more. Let's just put it that way.
Simple and straight to the point. Because I know when we talk about wealth management, because some of our members we have a mixed bag of accounting, finance. I think someone here today is a marketing major. Yeah, okay, marketing major. But what are some of the common misconceptions people have about wealth management, and how can they be corrected?
Yes, I mean, I think the biggest one is that you're going to be a salesperson, that you're going to go be pushing products, and there's truth to that. I mean, there's definitely truth to that. I think, the other part is the eat what you kill, that you're going to be really trying to sit there and like generate a paycheck. And I think there's been a huge evolution in the industry with how people are paid. So you can go be an advisor and not have to worry about necessarily building a book and still make a good living, be client facing and be salaried. There's firms that are doing that. So I think not having to, just be commission based, I will share our advisors are paid that way. So based on the assets that they manage is how they get paid. But there's also a ton of upside to that. So it's sort of like, do you want the security of the paycheck, or do you want the upside to know that your income's sort of limitless? So I think the comp model sort of throws people off, I think, at some point. And I think what a lot of people don't realize about this industry is the flexibility. Like, yes, there's the stock market hours, and you got to worry about that, but it's such an easy job to do, at home. I'm at home today, on vacation, you can answer a call, you can answer an email, you can be at your kid's baseball game, you could be at their play. I will say specifically too, for like moms and women, it's a fantastic industry. Like, I'm a mom of two, and I came back from maternity leave, and that's when I was promoted. So, there's so much opportunity in this industry. And I think sometimes people get scared that it's male driven. So I always like to bring that up for any of the females on the call or in the room, that it's not. We're seeing, we are statistically now actually seeing more women join the industry, which is really great. And I think a lot of women get scared out of it because they think they have to be like an aggressive salesperson, when in reality, you just need to be able to create really good relationships, and females are fantastic at that. So I think that's another misconception, is that this is really, unfortunately, a male-driven industry, and it's really becoming a good mix of both, which is great.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, women need to get out there and just put themselves out there, and obviously, prove everyone wrong. Even though I'm a male, obviously, I want to see women. I want to see everyone succeed in this club. Obviously, whatever venture you guys go down.
Absolutely.
So another thing, because funny enough, we had a meeting last night. We were talking about cryptocurrency. Do you feel personally, and I really haven't asked any of our speakers yet this semester, which is funny enough, I should ask them this, but do you feel like cryptocurrency plays a huge part in wealth management, or do you feel like it's just like a distant like thought about it? Because obviously, you're dealing with like stocks and you're dealing with like, planning out retirement and all the other stuff that, you guys do wealth management. Do you feel like, in your opinion, cryptocurrency does play a huge role in that, or do you feel like it's just a snippet of like a big picture?
It's a snippet. I mean, we don't do crypto at our firm. If clients ask us about it, we pretty much usually advise against it, just given, no real track record and all the issues that come with it. But we have clients who dabble, and I think that's okay. Again, we always want to look at, is your plan okay? And if you want to go throw some money in crypto because you're interested or you want to experiment, as long as we feel like it's not going to impact your plan, that's okay. But we have not seen it be a focus. Like, we have not seen this like wave of crypto clients or this wave of like, I want to be invested in it. It just hasn't really hit.
Yeah, because funny enough, for SMEF, we basically, our advisors are heavily against that, and I was like, really, like, what, really? And I'm like, well, because they are like way older than us and they don't understand crypto, so we're like, okay, if they don't understand it, then we're like, we're not gonna like make them sit through an hour presentation about it. So another thing I do want to bring up, obviously, is, the amount of like, days you work in the office. Obviously, I don't know, I might be right or wrong about this, but I think it was Goldman Sachs, who, would ask their employees to work maybe like 3 days in the office, or maybe go back in person full time. Do you personally feel like, in the wealth management industry, do you feel like, basically, working hybrid, working fully remote, or working in person? Because I have asked that question to a couple of speakers. Others, they're like, oh, I want to work, I want to work fully in person, fully remote, hybrid. My opinion, for an intern, obviously, because I've done a couple internships in my past where basically I want to be in person, get the hands-on experience on the network. But what would be your take on that?
Yeah, so we have a hybrid policy at our firm. I was actually on our flex schedule committee because, coming off of the pandemic, I'm based, basically, the easiest way to think of it is LA. And if you watch the news, we were pretty aggressive here in LA with our lockdowns. And so we essentially had people out of the office for almost 2 years, and we thrived. Like, people were fine. We've been a paperless firm, so it was really no issue with like paper. It was just making sure everyone had tech. And so when we came back, and initially it was everyone come back 5 days a week, we had employees who were like, absolutely not. Like, I've done my job at home. Like, why do I have to come back? And I've always been a big proponent of, I don't believe in FaceTime. So I think there's a lot to be said for being in person. I also think there's a lot to be said for trusting your employees to be productive in their own environment. So I really worked with a couple of my other leaders at the firm to put together a policy for our firm that allowed a mixture of both. And at the end of the day, it's a flex schedule policy. So it's a 3-2, 3 in, 2 out. If it needs to be 2 in, 3 out, again, we want to set our employees up for success. And I think, our employees have proven over the course of the pandemic that they can do it. I do think there's a lot to be said about having some in person. And, for me, my team is geographically dispersed. So I said through the pandemic, it was a very easy transition because I'm always used to being on Zooms with my team. I get for teams that were all in person, it's harder because you kind of lose that training aspect. But it is nice to be around colleagues. Like, I like going in and getting to talk with people and not just like sit in my bedroom by myself all day for 5 days. So I like having the mixture of both. It's helpful for training. It's helpful for culture. But this is me personally. I do not believe in 5 days in the office. Like, I see how productive people can be. You can start earlier, end your day earlier. I threw in laundry earlier today. So I feel like I go into my weekends a little calmer because I've gotten some chores done. So, it starts at the top. So I tell my team all the time, like, you're going to see on my calendar that I'm going to be at my, kids' play at 10 a.m. on Tuesday. Like, it's okay. Like, I want people to feel like they can go live life and know that they're going to get their work done. And so I think as a firm, we're really trying to help make sure that's kind of our motto and our culture.
Totally get your opinion on that. Let me see who's on this call or anyone. Mitchell, do you have a question for our speaker here? I don't really want to put you on the spot here, but you can type it in the chat if you feel like it. There's no wrong questions, guys. You guys can ask her anything.
Yeah, sorry, how are you? I wanted to be in person, but I'm just stuck in traffic. So, yeah, one of the questions I had is you're saying that you pay your employees through like commission based sort of, but like with how they do. Do you think that's the better way of the industry than just flat fees and things like that?
Yeah, so our advisors are paid commission. Any of our staff, we're all like I'm salaried and bonus. Like it's really our advisors. And there's two sides to it. You know, again, I think for me, like when people have asked why have I not been an advisor, like at my company, it's because I'm nervous. I like knowing that there's money that's going to hit every other week in my bank account and that it's going to be the same amount. So it's really, you know, but we have advisors who thrive on it. You know, to them, it's exciting that they can go make their paycheck whatever they want and have that sort of, unlimited potential. And again, it's a fixed fee. It's based on the assets we manage, but it's just their ability to go manage more and go, acquire more clients. There's firms out there where all their advisors are paid salaries and they have like business development officers. So they have the people that are going out there to essentially close the business who are probably paid differently. And then they go to essentially relationship managers who might be paid. So firms are coming up with different models. And I think that's where advisors kind of go based on how they want to, build their wealth. If they're like me and maybe they want a consistent paycheck, you're going to go find an advisor position that's like that. You want to feel like you have control of your income, then a model like ours might be the right fit.
All right. Thank you, Mitchell, for that question. Getting back to the list of questions our members asked, how can someone evaluate the performance of their wealth management strategy and when should they even consider making changes to it?
Yeah, I mean, that's really where you want to lean on your advisor because the advisor should really be telling you. So, hey, we're going to make a change because of X, Y, and Z. We believe, again, there's people out there forecasting, whether that, heavier in international, lower in domestic, whatever it is, like your advisor should be coming to you with that. At a minimum, you're doing usually an annual review. Sometimes you'll do it more, where if there's a life event coming up, that's also a big reason why, things might change. Hey, I bumped up retirement by 5 years, or I delayed retirement by 5 years, or it's time to send the kids to school in college and I'm going to have big tuition payments. So it's really just communication with your advisor, but it's got to be a two-way street. But I really think anytime there's going to be a big change, your advisor is going to be the one leading that conversation.
Okay. Because I know in life, there's a lot of risk that's played out in life, and even in business and in personal social situations. But what role should risk management play in a wealth management strategy? And how can someone effectively manage risk while also pursuing their financial goals at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, this is why, the term asset allocation exists, because you can put your money in a little bit of everything to help manage to that. And I think, a lot of times when you're meeting with an advisor for the first time, they feel that out. What is your risk capacity? If you had a year like last year, 2008, how would you feel? And then you can invest accordingly. Again, I always bring it back to the plan because I just feel like you can't invest without a financial plan. We can tell someone like, okay, given your assets are like, you just need this rate of return. Like if you could achieve basically 5, 6, whatever % return, your plan is successful. Okay, well now if they know that and maybe some assets are sort of there on the side, we get clients who are like, well, can I make those a little riskier if I ultimately know they're going to go to my kids? So that way, they have I can possibly maximize wealth, but I understand if I lose money, it's okay because it's not going to affect me and my goals. So you almost can't answer that question without putting your plan in place. And I stress that because we feel like the plan has to come first and then the investment and asset allocation come second.
Let me see what else our members asked here. They wrote down a lot of questions. I can tell you that. I got to pick the ones that are actually
That
good.
was great. I'm happy to answer.
Yeah. Oh wait, let me see which one would they only. What role does estate planning play with wealth management? What are some key considerations to keep in mind?
Yeah, so again, it's part of every financial plan. It's part of wealth management because depending on where you live or what type of state you're in, there's lots of different rules and laws. So a fundamental action item for us is going to be either reviewing documents you have in place or putting them in place. So at a minimum, wills, powers of attorney, healthcare directives, and a trust. Like those are what we call foundational documents that everyone should have. And then from there, it gets into more like advanced planning. So if you have a taxable estate, then we're going to get into the fun stuff, the different types of trust that you could set up, the gifting that you could be doing. And that's always going to come after you look at your financial plan and figure out like, what is my estate going to look like in a few years? What are my goals? And it always comes back to asking that of a client. What are your estate goals? Is maximizing what you give to your kids important? Where does philanthropy and charity play a role in that? And do you want to do it now or at death? So there's so many questions that have to come up. And so estate planning, it's a natural part of the financial planning process. Down to the titling of assets. I can't tell you how many people we see who have done their estate plan and haven't put their brokerage account in the name of the trust. It's still sitting in the individual name. Or, went and refinanced and forgot to put their home back in their trust. Like there's just so many little things that then can cause complications at your passing. For example, dealing with a situation right now where clients passed away without an estate plan. They've been advised to for years. This was with the previous advisor. And so we're now having to help them through like the process of just dealing with an attorney and probate and all that fun stuff. And like money gets locked up and then your heirs essentially aren't getting, your assets in a timely fashion, which is not great. So I just think, estate planning, and no matter your age, I mean, I will tell you, I'm going to talk to a family member this weekend, one of my cousins who is in his 30s. And I'm like, you need to put things in place. And the natural thing, what was his response? I don't need that. I'm too young. Again, estate planning is for every age. You need documents. You need to know who's going to make financial and healthcare decisions if you were to be incapacitated. If you should pass away, who's going to get your assets? Do you want it to go to your mom and dad? Maybe you want it to be the siblings or friends. So it's a crucial part of every person's plan is to focus on that estate planning part.
Yeah. And I think this probably, you probably answered that question as well with the other one. We only have time for 2 more questions. I want to make sure everyone gets to the PDP event today. So we do have in this room, I believe, if I'm just by the look of faces, we do have a couple of junior seniors, a majority of them are freshmen, sophomores, which is a good group. But what would be a piece of advice you would want to give to someone who's a freshman or sophomore who hasn't really decided if they want to do wealth management as a major or, is trying to pick their path in business?
Yeah, I mean, probably going to sound repetitive, but intern, go find an internship and dabble. I think as a freshman or sophomore, it's the ideal time because you still do have time to figure it out. I waited till I was a junior and I was already, set in business, trying to figure out what part of business. And I had essentially like a year to, till I was going to start looking for jobs. So the fact that, you want to start that young is great. And intern's going to be the way to do it. And most internships will have you rotate. So you'll get to see different aspects maybe of the business. So I know in ours in the summer, we try to get people to see the planning side, the portfolio management side, client service, the marketing, the compliance. There's so many different pieces to it. And I had an intern, she works full time for us right now. She started in planning. She now works in operations. I had another intern who started as, again, a summer intern, joined us as a portfolio manager, and now he's a wealth advisor associate. So, they started and figured out what they actually enjoyed. And it's okay if you intern and figure out it's not what I enjoy. It's better to figure that out through an internship than to go through college thinking it's what you want to do, graduate, and then be like, oh shoot, I actually hate this.
Yeah, that's great. So my last question here from everyone, and I usually ask this as the last one, but what would be the best piece of advice you would want to give to your past self? If you had the chance to go back and tell your, old self, hey, wish you do this better. And then what would be the one piece of advice you want our members to take home as they are listening to your presentation today?
Oh, that's a good one. I think about this a lot. Like, what would I tell myself in a past life? I think the biggest thing is take every opportunity given to you. So, I think I missed some opportunities along the way that might have gotten me to a different point in my career, maybe faster. And so because of being scared, because I was comforted by the security of what I had. So I think I stayed maybe longer than I should have. So don't be afraid to take the risk, leverage the opportunities. I'm a firm believer that sort of everything happens for a reason. And I think I missed some things along the way because, you never know where they're going to lead you. I wound up at EP. I love where I'm at. I love what I do, but there were decisions I made about 8 years ago that, could have led me on a different path. But I would just say, jump on those opportunities when they're presented to you.
Well, that was a great, amazing presentation. Thank you so much, Erin, for coming to speak to us today. I highly advise all of our members here today and virtually to please connect with her on LinkedIn. Please do that. And please do so. So yeah, thank you so much. And hope.
Thank you.
Great rest of your day.
All right, you too. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.